Hello, we're back in the Keto Kitchen on the cooking channel, and today I've got Catherine with me, who is a nutritional therapist, and she is the author of a book called Living Well with Cancer, and she's going to show me and you today a couple of her recipes. So welcome, Catherine.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, yes, today I'm going to make some seeded crackers, which is a recipe from the book. Just a little bit about myself. I work with Matthew's friends on the oncology side. I've always worked within the field of cancer, hence why the book is called the Living Well with Cancer book. Has lots of information about nutrition and cancer, and also has some really great recipes. So one of these is now going to be shown to you. So the seeded crackers I'm going to make today have lots of seeds in them. The great thing about them is that they don't have any sort of flour or anything like that to bind them together, just some psyllium husk. So I will be showing you exactly how that works. So first of all, I've got my bowl here. What I would say about this recipe is very, very simple, but it's a little bit fiddly in the fact that you do have to think ahead. You have to plan ahead with it. That's the thing, because you do need to soak the seeds overnight. So what I'm going to do first of all is to show you what seeds I'm putting in and what is going to be soaked overnight. And then we have one that I prepared earlier that we can bring in and then finish the recipe. So first of all, into the bowl, I'm going to add my sunflower seeds. That's 150 grams of sunflower seeds and 100 grams of pumpkin seeds. And I'm going to add some sesame seeds. Now here I've got some white sesame seeds, which are the whole sesame seeds. They're not hulled at all, so you can find those in shops. Ones that you tend to buy in the supermarket are hulled, so you haven't got quite so much fibre there. So my preference is either the ones that are the whole sesame seeds, or you can get these lovely black ones as well. So you can use either of these, or you can mix the two. I quite like the black ones in it because it just makes for a more interesting mix, really. So I'm going to put my black sesame seeds in here. That was 70 grams of sesame seeds. And then we've got 2 tablespoons of poppy seeds here. I'll add those. So that's all you need, first of all, to soak overnight. So just get a jug of water and add that to the seeds. Okay, so we've got the water in there. They're going to soak in that overnight. Just remove those scales so I can give them a quick stir around. You want to make sure that the seeds are all covered in water when you leave them.
You've got 4 different kinds of seeds in there, Catherine. Is there a particular reason for having those?
Well, the seeds that we've got in there are nutritionally very good. Lots of really good healthy oils in them. The pumpkin seeds have something called tryptophan in them, which is very good for our serotonin levels. Yeah. You could think they're a sort of good mood food as well. Right. But all of these seeds, they really work well together and will provide us with a really good balance of healthy omega-3 and omega-6 oils. The reason I'm soaking them overnight is because when you soak them, first of all, it makes them more digestible, but also it gets rid of some of the anti-nutrients in them, something like sort of phytic acid, which actually can stop us from absorbing so many minerals. And as they're absolutely packed with minerals, we want to make sure that we absorb those. So soaking them actually means that then you throw that phytic acid away, and what you're left with is a very nutrient rich mix. Right. So they are going to be left well mixed round, and they're going to be left overnight, really. That's what I tend to do. I'm then going to bring in my ones I prepared earlier. So these have been soaked overnight. I just find it's easier to sort of think before I go to bed, quickly mix them up, add some water, and then they're there ready to be cooked in the morning.
Right.
The whole thing about this dish also is that we cook them very, very slowly. So then I tend to put them in the oven first thing in the morning, and then they cook for a few hours during the day when you're not having to use the oven for other things.
So is that how they were in the morning, or did you have to drain them a bit?
Okay, thank you. Yes, I did actually, of course, drain the water off. So the best thing to do is to get a very fine sieve. You don't want anything with too big holes, because what you do is lose your poppy seeds through that.
Of course, yes.
But what I do tend to do is use another bowl, so to drain them into that bowl, so that if you do have a few of the poppy seeds that get through the sieve, then you can just scoop those out and add them back into the mixture. But generally that's okay. So yeah, you've drained those, and now I'm ready to add the rest of the seeds that are going to go with it, and some flavorings as well. So first of all, I'm going to add some linseeds. These are, or flax seeds, known as both. These are brown ones. You can get golden ones as well. I'm not sure. I've heard that maybe the golden ones are slightly more nutritious, but I'm not sure if that's exactly true. So anyway, brown ones are slightly cheaper as well. So they're going to be popped in there. And then I'm going to add some of my flavorings. So I've got some dried rosemary here. So the thing is, actually, you could use whatever flavorings you wanted. You can add other herbs, you can add some spices. Sometimes I add some turmeric, which makes it a really very healthy dish, especially if you're a cancer patient.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, turmeric has lots of very beneficial properties, but I'm not putting that in today. I've also got here some ground fennel seeds. So I've ground those earlier in my pestle and water. Lovely smell.
Aromatic, aren't they?
They really are. So I love fennel seeds in this, but again, you can put whatever you want. So they're going to go in. I'm actually also going to add, now these aren't in the recipe in the book, but I do like to add this, and it's some Nori flakes and seaweed. It will add a little bit more carbohydrate, but not very much at all. And it'll add a little bit of saltiness, but more than anything else, it adds an awful lot of minerals. Seaweed is very nutritious, so I'm just going to sprinkle that in. And then we need to put some salt and pepper in, so a teaspoon, quite a lot of salt, because you want quite a bit of flavouring. So this is pink Himalayan salt, very good for us because it has lots and lots of minerals in it, so far more than obviously ordinary table salt. But sea salt or Maldon salt would be just as good.
Just as good, right, that's good.
Okay. And then last of all, I'm going to add my psyllium husk. Psyllium husk is all fibre, so it doesn't contribute in any way to the carbohydrate content of the dish. And psyllium husk, when it gets moisture into it, then it absorbs the moisture and binds the dish together, or the crackers together. So that is basically what you use to bind the whole dish, all the seeds together. I'm just going to mix that around nicely, making sure you incorporate all those lovely herbs and the fennel seeds.
It's a lovely smell.
There we are. And then what we're going to do is add in half a litre of water. And this is just going to go in, and then we're just going to let it sit for 15 minutes until it gets really gloopy.
Oh, so the husk will do its job then?
Yeah, absolutely. So the psyllium husk is going to be swelling and absorbing the water, and the linseeds will also be swelling a little bit and absorbing the water. And then you get a gloopy mixture, which then we can put into our baking sheet. Okay, so that is absolutely ready now. It's gone really gloopy. As you can say, all that water has been absorbed. So just get my spoon. So obviously this would be put into a couple of baking sheets this size, but I'll just show you sort of how much we need to put in really. So probably, well, putting half the mixture. So we try that amount first of all. And what you need to use is a spatula like this, where you can really sort of flatten it out and move it across the silicone paper. And it does take a little bit of skill, this, first of all. When you first try it, you think, oh gosh, I'm never going to be able to actually spread that out without getting holes in it. But because you can see where, and sometimes it does happen that, you know, I cook it and then realise there's a bit of a hole in the middle of it because I haven't quite spread it out properly. But the whole idea really, as I say, is to get it really thin and get it right to the edge of that sheet, but make sure that your silicone paper does actually cover the whole of the baking sheet, because then
you won't get a bit stuck.
You won't get, yeah. But what I would say is to just then go round with the spatula and just sort of bring it away from the edge of the baking sheet.
That's a good tip.
Because otherwise it sort of spills out over the edge of the silicone paper if you're not careful down, and then it just makes it a little bit more difficult to peel off. Whereas like this, once it's cooked, then you can just lift the edge of the silicone paper and it'll be stiff enough that you can just sometimes you need to turn it over. Actually, I would say that sometimes it looks crispy on top, because basically your test is to make sure that it is nice and crispy, but when you turn it over it's still a little bit wet underneath, so you can just turn it over and put it back in the oven just to do the other side. So I think that is spread thinly enough.
No holes, no
holes there. Then what I'm going to do, just to show you now, but you can do this halfway through cooking, is I'm going to score the mixture. If you leave it a little bit longer until it's cooked a little bit, it actually makes it a little bit easier. So it's still soft, but obviously not still in its gloopiness. But to show you what, you can do it like this before it goes in, because often what happens is I think, I'll score that after about an hour of cooking, and then I forget. But the thing with these crackers is that it doesn't matter, you know, if they're all a bit odd shapes and sizes, that doesn't matter, you know, it just makes them a bit more interesting. But if you actually do score it like this, you can actually get more or less square crackers, and they look perhaps a bit more professional. But you don't want to move the mixture around too much when you're doing this, otherwise you'll get back to that situation where you end up with a hole. So there you are, it's just been scored there. So this is now going to go into our very low oven, we say not more than 120 degrees, and probably for about 4 hours. So it's a long time. So as I said, you know, actually putting it in the morning when you're not going to be using the oven, try and make sure that you haven't got something doing a lunch that day and think, oh no, my crackers are in the oven, I can't turn it up. And if they're that low, then you can sort of forget about them a bit, because they're not going to burn.
Not going to burn at all.
No. So they will go in your oven, and just keep a little eye on them. So turn them over if you think they just need to be done on the other side. You'll be able to do that quite easily. And then there you have your crackers ready for your cheese or your mashed avocado, something like that.